Hello, it's good to see you. Today we're going to be doing two different things. Well, kind of three things. We're going to cook a whole chicken and we're going to make chicken noodle soup. Now I'm going to be making these on two separate days. See, what I'm doing is I am going to I'm just going to cook a whole chicken and I'm going to do that today. And then tomorrow I'm going to make chicken noodle soup with some of that leftover chicken. So I will be dressed differently in the second part. The first thing I want to do though is I want to show you a few things that might be good to have. Like say you're just starting out, you're just learning how to cook, you want to start making some food at home and you're not really sure what to get. Now these are just some of my suggestions. It's certainly not an exhaustive list. If there's anything that I don't mention that you think would be useful to have, certainly put it in the comments below, because as I always say, I'm just a goober on the internet. I don't know everything. I'm not a professional chef or anything like that. So I'm just going to show you a few of the things that I have that you can get relatively inexpensively. In my opinion, you don't have to spend a lot of money on cooking stuff. I mean, you can get good stuff at a reasonable price. One of the first things I would show you is a frying pan. Now, this is nothing special. This is a Crofton frying pan that I bought at Aldi, I want to say about 4 years ago. I've had it for a while. I paid $20 for it. I use it all the time. It's wonderful and it's a good size. You can make big stuff, little stuff, whatever works for you. A good frying pan is good to have. I make all kinds of stuff in it. Hamburgers, I make spaghetti sauce in it. Just whatever you need to fry, and it's a good size. And I also got this little pan at Aldi. This is a little Crofton pan. It's a 9 by 9, and it's 1.5 inches deep. And this is just a good little general purpose pan. I got this for $5 at Aldi several years ago. I thought about making the chicken in this, but I put the chicken in there and it'll fit, but I think I'm gonna go with a pan a little bit bigger than that. And just a big old pot. This is a pot. This was a set of cookware from Calphalon that I bought at Target on clearance probably 20 years ago. I have a whole set. I have this, and it has a lid that goes with it, and 2 little sauce pots and a frying pan, and I got it all for like $70 or something. But now that was like 20 years ago. But you don't have to get expensive stuff. I just bought this because it was on clearance, and it was a pretty good deal. So I use this you can make soup in this, something like this if you wanted to. A lot of the stuff that I have is multi-purpose, so you can do all kinds of different things with it. I have little things like this, like I have a solid spoon here. I got this one at Ollie's for $2. And I also have a slotted spoon like this. So like if you're making something you want, like it's in water or something, you want to be able to scoop it out. This one actually came from Dollar Tree. This was a Betty Crocker slotted spoon from Dollar Tree, back when stuff was still $1. And this, I don't remember where this came from. It's just a plastic spatula there. It's pretty solid. Sometimes spatulas can be kind of flexible, which is fine depending on what you need them for. But one like this I really like. This is one I've had forever, and it's straight across. It's not as solid as I would like, but I like it because it's straight across. A lot of spatulas are kind of rounded, but sometimes you want one that's straight. So I have this little one here. And one thing I'm going to be using for making this chicken is oven bags. Now I know everybody doesn't like to use these, and that's fine. I mean, there are a million different ways you can cook a chicken. I mean, I figure as long as it doesn't catch on fire or run away, you cooked it right. Just make sure it's thoroughly cooked and you're good. I like these little Reynolds Kitchens oven bags. Because it contains all the stuff and you don't have to scrub the pan. It keeps it all in there, and you don't have to baste whatever you're cooking, like a chicken or a turkey. I use these when I cook a Thanksgiving turkey as well. They have the big size, the turkey size of these. You get 6 bags in here. With the turkey ones, you only get 2, but they're really big. And to me, it just makes everything easier. You put everything in the bag, stick it in the oven, in a pan, and that's it. And it makes cleanup very easy. But again, you don't have to use these. It's totally fine if you don't like them for whatever reason. You don't have to. I'm probably going to get eyelash cancer from it, but I really like the convenience, and I feel like it's worth the risk. And it tells you here how to use it. You have all your instructions. They tell you how to prepare your stuff to be cooked, how to cook it, and then how you clean it up. 2 other things that are really useful. I know this sounds obvious, but salt and pepper. These are 2 inexpensive things that you can use if you don't have any other seasonings or anything. I find salt and pepper to be very useful. That's what I'm actually going to put on this chicken when we're getting ready to cook it. I'm just going to put a little salt and pepper on it and some butter, and I'm just going to rub it in. We're going to give it a little massage, and then we're going to bake that bad boy. That's what we're going to do. And I have a new thing that I just got. I haven't had a chance to use it, but everybody kept telling me I needed to get one, so I did. I bought an air fryer. Everybody kept telling me, Mary, you gotta get an air fryer. You gotta do it. You gotta do it. It'll change your life. They had these on sale on Amazon, so I bought one. It's just a small one, and I thought I would give it a try. But this is a nice way, especially if you don't have access to a stove. This is an easy way to prepare different types of foods. You can make a wide variety of different foods in an air fryer. And it seems like it's pretty easy, although I imagine it is. I don't know for sure yet because I haven't actually used it, but that's one way that you can do it. I also have a crock pot. I have a pretty big crock pot. It was given to me as a Christmas gift by my stepmother years ago. I've had this thing for years, and I love my crock pot, and there are all kinds of recipes online of all different kinds of foods you can make. And the great thing about it is you can just put everything in there, put the lid on, make sure you turn it on. Don't forget, because one time I put everything in there and I forgot to turn it on. So make sure you turn it on and make sure it's plugged up. And when you get home, it's your house or your home is just going to smell like somebody's been cooking in there all day. It's going to smell so good. It's like, and your food is ready. It's waiting for you when you come home, and it's just so nice. Like you've been working all day, and then you come home and it's ready. And I know a lot of people are starting to, cook more, eat more meals at home. I know we eat a lot of meals at home. We don't really go out to eat. Now, occasionally we'll do the drive-through or something, but usually we eat here. So we do cook a lot of our food here, and that's just the way. That's just the way I've always done it. And my kids don't really like to go out to eat, so it's not a big deal. But I know a lot of people who are eating at home more to save money, and it definitely does save money to do that. But it can be kind of intimidating to get started, and I totally get it, because I never learned to cook anything growing up, and I don't know a lot, but the little bit I do know, I've learned on my own since I got out on my own. And I just wanted to share some of the stuff that I do that might help if you're starting to do that. So we're gonna cook a chicken. I didn't kill it though. It came like this. So you might see these in the grocery store, and it might be intimidating. Like, what do you do with that? What do you do with this thing? This is a premium young chicken. This thing's probably 2 weeks old. Hormones. I'm going to die from eyelash cancer from that for sure. It says no added hormones or steroids, but there are 2 asterisks after that. Yeah. So we're going to be cooking this thing. Now, the good thing about it is, if you forget what to do or you're not sure what to do, they give you all the instructions here on the back, and they tell you about safe handling and the temperature to cook it to. You don't want to eat raw poultry. And one thing I will stress, wash your hands a lot. And that's something that I got from my mom. My mom was paranoid whenever it came to cooking meat. She was paranoid about, getting sick from it. So I will not be touching anything with this chicken until I go wash my hands. So we're going to be taking it, I'm going to take it out of the bag. Now some people do wash the chicken after they take it out of the bag. Not in the dishwasher, but they'll just stick it in the sink and wash it. You can do that if you want. There are different philosophies about it or whatever. I'm not going to give you any advice to wash or not to wash. Let's not get into a debate. We're just going to cook some chicken. We're going to get it out of the bag, and then we're going to massage it with some butter and put on a little salt and pepper. We're going to get ready to put it in the oven, and that's it. It's a cute little thing, isn't it? Okay, we have the chicken here. I took one of the bags, and I removed the plastic, obviously, and I've put chicken inside of one of these bags. Now, I haven't done anything else to it yet. I just had the funniest thing happen. I was over there at the sink. You know, I had it down in the sink, and I was removing the plastic, and I was holding the chicken up after I got it out. And my son was coming. I didn't hear him coming in here, and I said, it was like holding what did I say? I said, it was like holding a cold toddler. And he said, I've heard you say a lot of weird things. I think that's the weirdest thing I've heard you say. Because I talk to myself all the time. And it's funny. All right, now, one thing you don't want to forget, though, when you take the whole chicken out of the bag, the giblets, the neck and the giblets are going to be inside of this cavity. So back here, and there's going to be juice. There's going to be, you know, that's going to come out. That's just part of it. Got his little legs here, the little legs here. The feet are gone. Okay, now the next thing you're going to do, you want to remember to take out the neck and the giblets from the chicken. Those are going to be in the cavity down in there. You're just going to have to reach down in there and get them. But actually, this one didn't have any. It was supposed to, but there's nothing in there. So, and you can add stuffing if you want to. I'm not going to. And it said you want to tie the legs together with a little bit of twine. That way he doesn't run away. I'm going to actually open this up a little bit. I'm going to keep this part up so the stuff doesn't come out. And now, it's right here. Tuck the wings under. These don't really want to do that, so I'm just going to leave them like they are. And then I'm going to take some, I've got a little pat of butter, and I'm just going to rub it with some butter. And then I'm going to wash my hands. They're going to add salt and pepper. I'm just taking this butter, and I'm just going to rub it around on the chicken, on the skin. It still has the skin on it. Now you could say, well, you know, you can go buy a rotisserie chicken. And you absolutely can, and I do. Sometimes I will go to Costco and they have these big rotisserie chickens for only $4.99. And they're only slightly smaller than this one. This one was $7.44. It was $1.34 a pound for this one. And you can buy a rotisserie chicken already cooked, and I do. We certainly do like our rotisserie chicken here. But say maybe you don't like the seasoning they use, or you know, maybe you just want to do it yourself. Or it could be, and I know in a lot of stores, those rotisserie chickens they can be quite expensive. They can be $10 to $15, $20, depending on how big they are, and depending on the store. See, this way you can buy one like this, and you can prepare it any way you want to. Sometimes the sodium content of those rotisserie chickens can be pretty high, and maybe you don't like the way they prepare them. This way you can prepare it any way you like. You can do it in the oven. You can cook these in a deep fryer. You could do it in a crock pot. I mean, there are a lot of different ways you can cook this. Okay. I'm just going to take the extra butter and stick it up his butt because I felt like it. Now I'm going to wash my hands, and we'll do the salt and pepper. Okay, now we're ready. I'm just going to sprinkle some salt on here, like that. And I have my little pepper mill. This is from Aldi. I'm just going to put some pepper on there. Okay, this thing was very loud, but I have cracked some pepper onto the surface of the chicken. I keep wanting to call it a turkey, because usually when I'm doing this, it's not a chicken. Okay. So what we're going to do with this is I'm going to cook this today, and my kids and I are going to have some for dinner. And then we're going to take some of the leftover chicken and use it to make our chicken noodle soup tomorrow, but it'll all be in the same video. So you take this little twist tie here, it's like a little zip tie, gather up the bag. You don't have to baste it. Gather it up, add your little twist tie to hold it closed. And then you want to follow the instructions on the outside packaging of the chicken or turkey or whatever you're cooking. And it will tell you based on the weight how long to cook it. So we're going to bake this, and then when it's done, we'll take it out and we'll see how it looks. Okay, the chicken is all done. You see all that pepper sitting on it. I tell you, it smells wonderful in here. This chicken smells so good. So we have our little thing on here. Take that off. It smells wonderful. Now there's a lot of liquid in here. The juices are all clear, you see that? And I think I'm going to save that for my soup. I'm going to put that in with my soup, so I'm going to hang on to all that juice. Oh, look at that. That looks good, huh? I think it looks pretty good. So we're going to have this with our dinner tonight. But we're going to sample a little bit of it now before we go. Okay, well, it is actually much later at night now. We had an incident. Our power went out earlier today. I wasn't here, but I got a notice from my security system that the power was out. And when the power came back on, we thought one of the smoke detectors upstairs was beeping. And it stopped, and then it started again while the chicken was cooking. So my older son and I were trying to figure out where the noise was coming from. Long story short, we dismantled the smoke detectors, took them completely down, took the batteries out, and we kept hearing beeping. And you know, with that smoke alarm beep, you can't tell where it's coming from. Like, it sounds like you just can't really locate it. Well, long story short, we've discovered after much frustration that it was actually the carbon monoxide detector that was beeping. So once we changed the battery out of that, it stopped. So, but anyway, I'm back at it. I have some of my chicken here. It's still fine, let me tell you. It was so tender. I didn't even need a knife to cut it. I mean, you could just pick it right off. It is so tender. Oh my gosh. Look at that. And I do know people who cannot eat those rotisserie chickens from some places because they're sensitive to some of the stuff they put in it or on it. Oh, it's so good. It's delicious and it's so easy. It's very tender. Oh, it's so tender. It's not dry at all. And that was even with it having to sit out while we were trying to figure out where the beeping was coming from. We finally figured it out, so it's delicious. Oh my word. So we're gonna have a very late dinner, and then what we're gonna do next is I'm gonna take the juice from that, and you can even use the carcass to make chicken stock with. You can look up ways online to make your own chicken stock. It's very easy. I bought some, but you can make it. And we're going to use some of our chicken to make our chicken noodle soup. So that's coming up next. Okay, we are back. It is now the next day, and we enjoyed our chicken last night. I have a lot left over, and that's one of the things I wanted to point out is that when you buy one of these whole chickens like this, there's a lot on there. I mean, so this chicken, the one I bought, was $7.44 plus tax. So let's say it less than $8. It would be hard to go to McDonald's and get a value meal for that. And you can take this chicken. Now, dinner for 3, it wasn't all we ate, but we had that for dinner last night. I have plenty left over for the soup. I'm going to make some chicken salad with some of it. I can use it for sandwiches this week coming up, going to work. You can get a lot out of it. And then, as I was saying last night, if you want to take the remains, the carcass, you can boil it and make your own stock. There are all kinds of places online where you can find information on making your own chicken stock. It's very easy. You can use it for that. So you can get a lot out of your money with one of these whole chickens like this. And again, don't be afraid to try it. If you've never cooked one before, there are very simple ways of doing it. The way I do it is a really simplistic way. There are more complicated ways you can cook it, but again, like I say, unless it's on fire or it gets up and it runs out of the oven by itself, you probably cooked it right. Whatever way works for you, as long as it's done, it's not undercooked. You want to make sure it's fully cooked. But as long as it's done and you like the way it tastes, you did it right. There's no right or wrong way to do it. As long as it's not on fire or running around in your kitchen, you did it right. So we're going to take some of this chicken. Now, I have one recipe for chicken noodle soup. There are thousands of recipes for different kinds of chicken soup online that you can find. This is just one. And I will put it in the description, but I did notice after I printed it out, you're supposed to start with raw chicken. Well, I don't have raw chicken anymore. So I'm going to modify the beginning of this recipe a little bit, but I found another recipe for a chicken noodle soup where you start out with pre-cooked chicken. I'll put a link to both in the description or in a pinned comment if you want to check them out. But again, there are tons of recipes online. You don't have to just use these. And the good thing about soup too is it's very forgiving. If you don't have all the ingredients, or say you have some extra stuff that you want to use up, like say you have a bag of carrots, or actually this has carrots in it. If you had some vegetables that you wanted to cut up and put in there, you totally can. It's okay. You can add more, you can take stuff out. You can modify it any way you like. And that goes with any soup. You don't have to be precise, and I don't like having to be precise when I cook. I just kind of go by feel. But for this one, I'm going to modify the beginning a little bit because we're not going to have to cook the chicken. So I'm going to kind of cut out the first step and go straight into the second step. Now, I did buy some chicken stock, but again, you can make your own if you want to. I just decided to just buy some. This is Kitchen Basics. I bought a container of original, and I got a container of unsalted because I need 64 ounces. So I got two. I've just got one of each because it was supposed to be low sodium chicken stock. Could put these together, it's basically low sodium. Close enough. Vegetables, I have my celery here. And I'm not going to put all this in there, but my younger son loves celery with ranch, so he will probably eat the rest of it. We're going to cut up some carrots to go in there. Bought these whole carrots. Now you can buy vegetables already cut up at the grocery store. You will pay more for it though. You pay for the convenience of having it already cut up. I don't mind cutting up my own. But you can buy them already cut. It just depends on what you want to do. I have my little onion here. And I bought some fresh bay leaves and thyme. But you don't have to buy fresh. If you have the powdered kind, there's nothing wrong with that. And you can find all kinds of good deals on stuff like that. Like at Walmart, you can get, they have these little things of seasoning that are $1.12. They used to be 98 cents, but they're $1.12 now, like this one. This is one of them. I couldn't find parsley in the store the other day, so I just picked up this container of great value parsley flakes. It's totally fine. This was $1.12. And I have my noodles. I bought a package of in-made extra wide egg noodles. So we need 6 ounces of egg noodles. This is 8. I'll probably just go ahead and put the whole thing in there. Of course, there are plenty of other things you can put in your chicken noodle soup if you want to. I may actually add a little bit of milk to it. My mom used to make chicken noodle soup, and she would put a little milk in it, and it adds a nice little bit of kind of creaminess to it. And when I make the cans of Campbell's chicken noodle soup, instead of adding water, I put milk in there, and to me it just tastes really good. If you've never tried it, it's really good. And I like the condensed tomato soup with milk instead of water. It's really good. I like it. So I think this soup is going to be really easy to make. And two, if you have a crock pot, you could just throw all this stuff in a crock pot. And that's what I love about crock pots. And I really use it more in the fall and winter, but I really should get it out and use it more in the spring and summer. But it just, to me, typically I tend to make things that I like to have in colder weather. You could just take all of these ingredients and just put them in the crock pot and you're good. Cooking at home can be the kind of thing that's sort of intimidating if you're not used to doing it. As I've said before, I never learned how to cook anything growing up, and I started out with just simple stuff like a box of macaroni and cheese, when I was young and on my own and broke. And I still love macaroni and cheese. I still eat it. I still love it. But it gives you all the instructions on the back, and you know exactly what to do. Well, recipes are the same. They're going to tell you everything you need and all the steps you need to take. So it's basically like making that macaroni and cheese. You're just adding in a little bit more. And I know for me, when I'm going through periods of time in my life where I'm learning new things, or maybe I'm going through some period of uncertainty and everything is just kind of up in the air, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel more grounded to be able to know, well, at least, I may not understand all of this yet, but when I get home, I know I can do this one thing. So maybe learning how to cook some simple stuff can give you something that you can do when you come home. Like, I know I can do this, and it's going to be really good, and the whole house is going to smell good, and we'll have some good food to eat too. And it gives me something that I can kind of lean on a little bit during times when maybe things just seem chaotic and unpredictable and scary. But this is something I can do. This is something I know I can do. So I think learning to cook just a few basic things, it can save you some money, and it can make your food budget go further, and it can give you a little bit of variety in what you eat. But it also can give you a sense of accomplishment, give you a little boost in your confidence. This is something I can do. Hey, I can do it, and I know you can do it. You can, and that's why I try to pick kind of simple little recipes to do, partly because I'm not like some fancy chef or anything. I'm no expert either. But also I want to try to give people simple recipes with simple ingredients that just makes good food that you can enjoy. So with that being said, we are going to get started with a slightly modified little list of instructions here for this chicken noodle soup. Okay, it already smells good in here. I've been cutting up all the celery, the onions. I've been kind of picking the chicken off, because it says I need 2 pounds of chicken. I don't know. I have approximately 2. The recipe calls for vegetable oil, but I'm actually going to use butter instead. So we're going to start to heat up our little pot here, and I'm going to just drop my butter in there and let that start to melt. I'm going to use this little spoon. I'm just kind of moving the butter around in the pot. I want to get that all nice and melted before I do anything else. Fall and winter are coming. It's almost Labor Day. So I thought it would be fun to do a recipe that you could enjoy, when the weather starts to get cooler, which I know this time of year, at least here, it seems like it's never going to happen, but eventually it will. And you could make some soup, and you could say that you made it yourself. The great thing about making it yourself, you can leave stuff out, you can put extra stuff in, you can make it exactly how you want it. Okay, so our butter has basically melted. I'm going to pour in the chicken stock, all of it. spoon. And 4 cups of water. This is cold water. 4 cups of cold water. That's a little bit more than 4, but it's an extra ounce, so I think we'll be okay. So we've got all that in there. Now we want to add in 1 bay leaf, 2 sprigs of thyme, we'll be taking these out later. Okay, so that's a little bit of butter, bay leaf, 2 sprigs of thyme, the chicken stock, and the water. Now we want to bring this to a bare simmer over medium-high heat. Then we want to reduce the heat and have it on a medium to low simmer 20 to 30 minutes, just to kind of let all that stuff kind of get to know one another. So we're going to wait for that to come to a bare simmer. Okay, well, it's supposed to come to a bare simmer. I might go ahead and just add the chicken. I have this chicken here. This is all the chicken that I pulled off. I told you we had, and there's still plenty. I have plenty enough to make a few sandwiches and chicken salad too. And we had some for dinner last night, and all of that off that one chicken, and it still has we still have the carcass if I want to do something with that. I think I'm going to go ahead and just put it in there. Try not to slosh it too much. Now I'm going to have fun digging that thyme and that bay leaf out because I just buried them under chicken. But that's okay. So it's supposed to come to a bare simmer. And also I want to mention, in case I forget, if you're going to make this, and you can make this ahead of time and freeze it, just don't put the noodles in it yet, because if you put noodles in it and then you try to freeze it, the noodles will be mushy when you thaw it out. But I imagine it would freeze beautifully. I just wouldn't put the noodles in there just yet. Just when you're ready to make it, you know, thaw it out and then add your noodles. There's some thyme. I think I found some thyme. That doesn't happen often. I seem to lose thyme. I don't know. There's some more. Where'd my bay leaf go? I think I killed it. Oh, there it is. There it is. All right. We're just going to let everything kind of sit in here. So we want to bring it to a bare simmer. And I tell you, it smells so good. It smells delicious already. And we haven't even added the other stuff yet. It already smells good. And you can add anything you want. Whatever you want to add to it. Now we are going to be adding in onions, celery. I got my little bit of parsley, carrots, and then the noodles. It's starting to simmer a little bit. But it's so easy. You could do this. You totally could. Now I know there are soup mixes you can buy, but I don't like them because sometimes they have stuff in there I don't want. And also the sodium content, if you look at the sodium content, it's really high in those mixes. With something like this, you can totally control the amount of sodium. Now there is quite a lot in here. We're going to add a little bit of extra salt because that's what the recipe calls for. But you could seriously limit the amount of sodium if you wanted to. Or add more if you want it to be salty. You can make it as salty as you want. But we're just going to make it like basically like the instructions say. So once this comes to a bare simmer, and I'll be honest and admit I don't know what a bare simmer is. it's starting to simmer a little bit. We're going to reduce the heat, and we are going to let this just simmer like medium low for 20 to 30 minutes. Okay, we're going to call that a bare simmer right there. Pumpkin is excited down here. I'm going to put it on medium low. Pumpkin is I don't have anything for you. She loves chicken. I did give her some earlier. Pumpkin? I don't have any more right now. Okay. I've just put it on low, and I'm going to put the lid on it. And I'm gonna let this just sit and simmer for 20 or 30 minutes, and I'm gonna go give her some chicken. Oh, look at that chicken in there. It's like a chicken lava lamp. It's just boiling up. Look at it. Look at it. Oh, it smells so good. It has about another 15 minutes to go. Okay, it has now been about 30 minutes. I turned the heat down a little bit. All right. Oh, it smells great. We are now going to fish out the bay leaf and the thyme. I'm trying to find my thyme. It's boiled under. There's a piece. I know there's another stem in here. Here's the other one. Okay, now we want to add the onion, celery, and carrots, and my parsley. A little bit of color there. So we got our celery. Onion. The chicken is already in there. And carrot. Now it said it took 1 large carrot. I wanted to add a little more, so I cut up 2 large carrots. Now you want to cook this on medium-low heat, adjusting heat as needed to maintain a bare simmer and stirring constantly until just barely tender. So we now have all of our ingredients incorporated into the soup, except for the noodles. We're going to do this for 5 minutes, and then we're going to add in the egg noodles. But again, if you were going to freeze this, you would not add the noodles, because again, if you freeze those noodles, when you go to thaw them, they're going to be very mushy. So, but I'm not going to freeze this, so I can go ahead and add in my noodles in just a few minutes. Okay, it has been about 5 minutes of stirring and watching. It is just barely tender, the vegetables are. So So now we have our container of dumplings, our wide egg noodles, and we're just going to put the whole bag in here. It calls for 6 ounces. This is 8. I'm just going to go for it. Okay. We want to cook this for another 5 minutes, stirring occasionally until the noodles are just al dente. You don't want to completely cook the noodles, so that's going to be another 5 minutes. Okay, we have stirred it occasionally for 5 minutes. The noodles are now just al dente. The recipe said without the noodles you can make this soup up to 5 days ahead and keep it in the refrigerator. So you can make it in advance and not have to freeze it, and leave it in the refrigerator up to 5 days before you add the noodles to it. So at this point, we are now ready to try it. Now, in my experience, most soups and stews are better after they've spent a night in the refrigerator and then you heat them up the next day, because it kind of gives all the flavors time to kind of get married, you know, like they have to kind of blend. And the vegetables, especially the carrots, will soften up even more. To me, it's always better the next day. But we're going to try a little bit of this soup and just see how we did. Okay, we have our soup ready. I have it in this bowl. And I have 2 of these bowls. I bought them at a church yard sale. Do any of you recognize this pattern? I don't know who made it. The back is plain. We had these exact bowls when I was a kid. I think it was a whole set. I think there were plates and bowls and all kinds of stuff. We had a couple of these bowls with the rooster in there like that when I was a kid, and I found these at a church yard sale, and I was so happy to find them. There were 2 of them. I bought both of them. I was so happy to find these because they were just like the ones we had when I was a kid. So I have the other one here, and the soup is in here, and it smells so good. And it's not a bunch of ingredients. You know, this is something, if you say you bought a rotisserie chicken and you had some left over and you didn't really know what to do with it, you can make soup with it. And it's, you know, there are a lot of different recipes online for different kinds of soups. Like, say you have, somebody gave you a bunch of zucchini and you don't know what to do with it. You could go online and find a bazillion zucchini recipes. All kinds of different ways to use whatever you have to make different dishes. Like if you get tired of eating stuff the same way, you want to try something different. I just always encourage people, you know, the internet is a wonderful tool when it comes to finding new information and learning new things. Like if you don't know how to cut up vegetables, you can find tons of videos on YouTube about cutting up vegetables, you know, because I'm not very good at it either. So, you know, I could use all the help I can get. So I should watch some of those myself. But let's try this soup. Now, I tried to get a little bit of everything. I got the noodles. I have some chicken in there, my carrots and celery and onions. And if there's any part of this you don't like, you can always leave it out. Or if you really like it and you want to add more, you can. I wanted more carrots, so I added extra carrots to it. Now again, I always think it's better after a night in the refrigerator. Not me spending a night in the refrigerator, the soup. I don't know that anything would be better if I spent a night in there. Oh, it's nice. The broth is really good. To me, it's just the right amount of saltiness. Now, I did add the 4 teaspoons of salt, but I ended up just dumping it in there while I was stirring it up. I didn't do it in a video clip or anything. So we used 1 container of the regular chicken stock and 1 with the low sodium free or salt free or whatever it was, and then the extra 4 teaspoons of salt too. Oh my gosh, that's nice. It needs some crackers or something. I like to crumble up crackers in my soup, but I wanted to just try it as it is first. The noodles are really good. I like these. I had never tried this kind. They're actually really good. And I just kind of pulled pieces of chicken off, you know, as I could get them. Some pieces are big, some are small. They don't have to be any certain size. This is fantastic. And I did put the parsley in there too. I just kind of, while I was stirring it at one point, I just dumped the parsley and the salt in there. And I didn't show that, but I did add the parsley and the salt. And that was it. Yeah. So a nice, easy little chicken noodle soup. Now, I don't typically eat stuff like this when it's really hot outside, and it's very hot outside today. But I'm enjoying this. This is going to be my lunch today, and I'm going to stick it in the refrigerator, and we'll probably have some tonight too. And there will be plenty left over because there's a lot in that pot. I mean, it makes a pretty decent amount of soup, I think. So we could eat it for, you know, 2 or 3 days. So I think it's a wonderful way to maybe take some leftovers and find something to do with them, kind of stretch them out a little bit more, make them last a little longer. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed getting to see that first we cooked the chicken, and then we assembled and prepared this nice little chicken noodle soup. And it's really delicious. Look at that big old piece of chicken there. Wow. It's good, and now the whole house smells really good too. So I really enjoyed making it. I will put both of these recipes into a pinned comment and in the description box, so you can see the 2 recipes I kind of went by. Really the one that has the cooked chicken, I didn't really incorporate much from that except the butter, but there are plenty of recipes out there if you're looking for different ways to make soup or stew, if you want to make beef stew or whatever. So many recipes, and if you have a crock pot, it's so easy to make in a crock pot. You just dump everything in there, turn it on, make sure it's plugged in, and leave it. You don't really have to do anything. It's so easy. So I'm a big fan of the crock pot, and I'm looking forward to trying out the air fryer. I've never tried one, but I kept hearing, oh, you have to get an air fryer. You have to try it. So I did, and I'm going to try it. Thank you so much for being here. I really hope that you have a wonderful day, and I will see you again really soon.